sit there and spin. Oh, we're live. How about that? We got a recording today. How about that? Okay, so seems like the darker colors work a little bit better. All right, we're going to talk about 2.6, which is transformation. Of functions. Okay? So let's say that I have some function of x and I say plus some constant c, like 3 or something. Okay? What does that plus c do to me? It shifts it which direction? I'm trying to pick on some names. I don't pick on their app. And I don't think I pick on Tyler enough.
Okay. It determines whether it goes up or down.
And does it go up or down?
It goes up.
Yep, shifts it up. So if I have f of x minus c, it's going to shift it. I'll let you answer since you just did.
Oh,
down. What if I have f of x plus c in the parentheses? What does that do to me? I don't think I can know that.
To the right.
It's going to shift it. Nope.
Oh.
Remember, it always goes opposite.
Yeah, to the left. Yeah.
So it's going to shift left. And f of x minus c, therefore, shifts it. Inoki?
To the right.
Okay. I'm trying to decide if I should give you all the rules all at once. How about what if I had a c times f of x? Okay. Now the question is, if the c is greater than 1, maybe I should do, well, you know, here, we can do that one in a minute. I'll change my mind. We'll talk about that in a minute. Let's do some examples here. What if I had, first of all, what does f of x equals the square root of x? What does that look like? I'm going to stick on Caitlin in the back. I can't hear you.
A V?
A V? Nope, it's not a V. What is it?
Just like a curved arrow.
Like a curved arrow, okay? It's going to look like this. That's a little big, but that's good enough for what we're doing, okay? What if I said I want to do the same thing? Here, I'll pick a different color, such as red. F of x equals the square root of x minus 3 plus 4. How does that shift? And is it Mary? Is it Mary? Yeah. Danae. Where's Mary? That's Mary. I knew I was only off one person. Okay, so Danae, you can tag Mary if you need help. What happens there?
Your graph would go to the right 3 and then up 4.
The right 3, 1, 2, 3, and up 1, 2, 3, 4. And so it would look like that. Okay? Well done. All right, so this isn't too bad. Okay, so now we'll draw a line here. What if I had y equals some constant c times the function of x? Okay. Now, if I should. Well, that's all right. Let me do it. Let's pretend that my original function looks like that, which is a nice sine line. Anybody moving on to trig? couple people. Okay, you'll see this a lot. So the question is, if C is greater than 1, what does that do to my blue graph? Let's say that C equals 2, for example. Let's say if this is my function y, this is my function of x. Let's say that I had y equals 2 times f of x.
Kind of squish it, make it a little bit steeper.
What I'm doing is squishy. It's going to make everything twice as high or as low. Okay? So we refer to that as stretching. Okay, so if C is greater than 1, it's going to stretch it. What if C is less than 1? Like a fraction. So we'll do the same thing. It's a good thing I brought lots of colors today. I forgot my purple though, I feel bad. C is less than 1, so y equals 1/2 f of x. What's that going to do? Cut it in half, okay? So yeah, it will look something like this. It will flatten it out. Okay? Does that make sense?
So
All right.
the points will remain the same, just the angles will be different.
Yeah, it's still going to intercept in the same spots as it did before. It's just going to be, it's going to less than 1 is going to flatten the curve, and greater than 1 is going to make it bigger. Okay? Okay, so still got lots of room here. I'm just worried about getting a little bit low on the board. What if I do y equals f c of x, or f times c of x? Okay, so we'll still keep the same blue curve there. Maybe I should use green for this one, because that's the only other color I have left. Okay, so what now? Let's see, who was it? Tell me your name again.
Me?
Yeah.
Did I see?
No, the guy behind the
Daniel?
Daniel. What would that do?
No idea.
No, I didn't. Oh, I thought you said you was going to shrink it. See, I was trying to give it to you.
Squish it and shrink
It's
it
going to
back.
squish it, okay? So when your C is inside the parentheses, and I guess I should specify that C is greater than 1 in this case, okay? So now everything is going to be cut in half. So they refer to this as the amplitude. So it's still going to go as high as it did before, but it's going to do it in half the time. Does that make sense? Okay. And of course, I wish I really had a fifth color. Okay, so now, what if C is less than 1? Okay, if C is less than 1, let's say that C equals, well, I guess we were assuming that this was a 2x. Let's say it's 1/2 x. F of 1/2 x. That's going to stretch it out. So it will still come to the same spots it did before. It's going to stretch it out. Does that make sense?
So kind of like how in the last set, the points remained the same, but the amplitude changed. Whereas this one, the amplitude change stayed the same, but the points changed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the 1/2 is going to be, so here, this is hard because I know they're all the same color, but I got two blues on them now. But does that make sense? I hope. Skylar, does that make sense to you? Kind of. Should we do some examples and see what happens?
Yes.
Can I erase that? Do you have that all on your notes really good? Because I got this big stupid screen on the way. All right, so in fact, maybe I guess I could go over here. This will be good. I've decided that sometimes I don't like, we might go 2 here to make it a little bit bigger. All right, so let's do some examples. And you can tell me what this does. Oh, that's gonna be fun. All right. And we'll go with blue. Let's say that I have f of x equals x plus 3 quantity squared. Is that hard to read?
Yes.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? I don't know if you know what, I'm just going to use this. I'm going to have to erase this. You've all got this written down, right? Yeah. It's all good? I thought it would be nice to have a graph on my board, and I don't know what's that helpful, to be honest. All right, so here's what we're going to do. F of x equals x plus 3 quantity squared. And we're going to pick on, it must be Mary's turn. What is that? What is it?
It's just to the left 3.
Okay, what is the shape of the graph? It's a parabola. To the left 3. 1, 2, 3. Boom. That was easy. Okay. How about, that's too easy. Oh, what if I had, oh, this one's one I didn't really ask you about. What if I had g of x equals the square root of negative x? What does that look like? He's sleeping down the back. We don't want to pick on. Tell me your name. It's like Tim, isn't it? Oh, I was going to say Tim. That's good. Okay. What does that look like? You know what the regular square root function looks like?
Huh?
You know what the regular square root?
Yeah, it starts at 0 and kind of goes up.
Yep.
Negative square root. The first thing that comes to my head is you can't graph it, but that's probably not right.
That is not right. Actually, in order to graph it, it might be helpful to talk about the domain, right? And normally you can't take the domain of a negative number, right? Or you can't take the square root of a negative number. Okay, so what would be, let's talk a little bit about the domain in this case. Do you know what that is? That's a good test question, by the way.
The domain of that?
Yeah. Here, let's do this. Let's make it a little easier for you. If that negative was not there, what would be your domain?
All numbers greater than 0.
X would be greater than 0. Okay, now that I've got the negative here, what do you think the domain is?
So when you need it to be a double negative, negative positive? So
Correct.
all numbers less than 0?
So your domain would be x less than 0 in this case. Okay? All right, so I can't pick any x's on this side, they all have to be on this side, right?
So
what do you
it's
think?
the standard function, but
Yeah, it's going to go the opposite direction. Just like that. Does that make sense? You have any swing tests, Derek? How about the other there? Sure. Sure? That didn't sound very confident. Okay. All right, so let's do, what's that? Oh, we're off screen, thank you. Except for that's not the right one. Okay, sorry, yeah, we should have had those on screen. All right, how about, oh, here's a good one. We're going to go crazy on this one. F of x . F of x equals f of x plus 3 quantity squared. And we're going to pick on, what is that? What is that? It's a parabola. To the left 3. 1, 2, 3. Boom. That was easy. Okay. All right. So let's do some examples. Here's a good one. We're going to go crazy on this one. F of x f of x equals 1 minus 2 times x minus 3 squared. We're good. Okay? It must be, we're going to go with Holmes. Larry Holmes, your favorite boxer, or do you even know who that is?
No idea.
Oh man, he was the heavyweight champ of the world. Beat Muhammad Ali. Okay? You do know who Muhammad Ali is. Okay. Scared me there for a second. All right, so what is this? What is this graph, first of all?
It's going to be
It's going to be a parabola. Okay, so just like this one. And we'll start with the 1. What does the 1 do to me?
I'm not sure.
Oh, you're not sure? What if I wrote it as the +1 over there? What would it do to you?
Would that just move, I guess, your point higher?
Yeah, we move it up 1. Okay? Okay, so that's what that does. It moves it up 1. What does the -3 do to me?
That shifts it to the right side.
To the right side. We're going to shift it 3 to the right. And what does the minus do to me?
That then put it lower
It's going to
down.
flip it. Okay? And the 2,
I'm not sure.
2 is going to make it steeper faster. Okay? So as this was kind of wide, this one's going to be more narrow. Okay? That'll be good enough. If this was a quiz question tomorrow, I would make sure that you've got that point correct, that it's facing the correct way, and it's a little steep. I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to tell whether it's super wide or not. Okay? Piece of cake? You gonna ace my quiz tomorrow, Derek?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that was better. Okay? Feel like I'm in the South, sir. Okay? It's funny because in the South they're like, "You better call me sir," and in the West we're like, "Don't call me sir."
Sorry.
You know, usually when you do it, it's like, "Oh, you're being sarcastic. Call me sir." Yes, it's Mary.
Yeah. What did the 2 do? Like, what is
What does the 2 do? So remember how this is wide? This one's more narrow.
Oh,
It's narrow faster. Okay? All right, you ready for some other stuff? All right, here's what I want to cover now, because this one, okay, this will definitely be on this test. Actually, that will too. But this is going to be harder. I think the shifting and stuff isn't too bad as long as you guys practice it. But here's what students are really going to hate, or I should say that you love to miss. Okay? We're going to talk about odd and even functions. Odd and even functions. Okay? Now, the definition of an odd function is f of x equals f of minus x. And the definition, sorry, that's even. F of x equals f of minus x. Odd is actually very similar. It's going to be, I'm just going to put a minus in front of it. Now I've got that right. Minus f of x equals f of minus x. Okay? Now, let's talk a little bit about a couple of functions, and I want to give you guys some hints here. If I had f of x equals x squared, without doing any math, if you were to guess whether that was odd or even, what would you guess? Who says it would be an odd function? Who says it would be an even function? Yeah, because I got an even number here, right? So even. Okay, we'll prove that it's even in just a minute. If f of x equals x cubed, who thinks that would be an odd function? 4, 5, 6, who thinks it would be an even function? Okay, you're correct. It's an odd function. If I had f of x equals x to the 4th, who thinks that would be an even function? Okay? Who thinks it would be an odd function? Okay, do you see the pattern here? F of x equals x to the fifth. Even function, odd function. Odd function, okay? Now the question is, what about f of x equals x minus 4 squared? Okay, if you were going to guess if it was odd or even, what would be your guess?
Even.
You'd probably guess even, okay? Now, this one's actually neither. And we'll find out why in just a minute, okay? All right, if I did f of x, except for I'm gonna have to erase some of this and then I won't remember, x squared plus 4, what would you guess? What would you guess?
Even.
You would guess even. And this one actually would be an even function. Okay? Now, let's prove what I just said. Okay? Let's start with the nice, easy one here. Okay? F of x, I said I'm going to guess that it's even. Okay? In order to prove that it's even, I need to show this relationship. Okay? So I've already got f of x right here. I need to find f of minus x. Okay? Landon, almost called you Logan again. Landon, what is f of minus x?
Would be negative x squared.
Negative x quantity squared. Can you simplify that?
Should be x.
It would be x squared, right? Does f of x is this, correct? Does that equal f of minus x?
Yes.
Yes. So therefore, I was correct. It is even. Okay? Now, a function will be either even or it will be odd, but it won't be even and odd. If it is even and odd, then it's not a function. Okay? Now, another thing to remember about even functions, they are symmetric about the y-axis. Okay? All right, now let's do this one here. Okay, f of x equals x cubed. Okay? So this is the relationship I need to find. Okay? Now, let's pick on, man, I can't remember your name. He's like, don't look at me in the white shirt. Yeah, what's your name? Mauricio. You moved, that's why I couldn't remember your name. You were sitting back there last class.
Yeah.
You guys who move, it messes me up. I don't know why. I remember where you sit, but I don't remember your name. Okay, so I want you to find minus f of x using this function. So what does minus f of x equal?
Parentheses,
Parenthesis?
negative x cubed.
No. If you just stuck that here, x cubed, okay, and then if I simplify that, that becomes
Negative x cubed.
negative x cubed. Okay, so that's minus f of x. Now, tell me what f of minus x equals. That's what you said the first time.
Okay, negative.
Negative,
Well, first
parenthesis,
negative x cubed.
x cubed, and so if I simplify that, that becomes
And the same.
negative x cubed. Okay, so this equals this. Does that make sense? Okay, so therefore, just as I said, it is odd. Okay, now I want to do another one here. This one looks like a good one to pick. Okay, I told you it was neither. Now we need to prove that it's neither. Oh, let me back up a second. I told you that even functions are symmetric about the x-axis. Symmetric. Odd functions are symmetric about And before I answer that question, let's pick on Natalie. Natalie, do you know what this looks like if you were to graph it? We called it the snake, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Does that show any symmetry there? Yeah, it does. If you were to if this was a piece of paper and you folded it along that diagonal, this would look like that, right? Okay. So it's symmetric about the origin. Okay? All right, so now I told you that f of x is x minus, f of x equals x minus 4 squared. I told you that was neither. Okay? Let's prove it. So we're going to pick on, I can't remember your name.
Logan.
Logan. Oh, you're Logan. I said that. I don't know if you guys don't sit together. I don't know.
You have over 10%.
Yeah, no, because the Caitlin's sit together. I got their names down. Okay, so Logan, in order to prove it, if we were to guess, we'd probably guess it was even, right? So let's figure out this. So I've already got the function of x. Okay, so now I need to find the function of minus x. What is f of minus x as applied to that function?
Negative.
F of minus, here, sorry, f of minus x. I'm going to erase this, it's in my way. So this would be negative x
Times that, yeah,
there's not a times.
well, parentheses,
Negative x minus 4
squared.
squared. So my question to you is, does that equal that? No. Okay? So we know that it's not even. Let's see if it might be odd. Okay? So we're going to pick on, Derek, I haven't picked on you for a while. Okay? So we found f of minus x. So now we need to find minus f of x in this case.
Just be
Negative times
x minus 4.
x minus 4 squared. Okay, so now we're comparing these two. Does this equal that? No, so therefore it is neither. Okay? Now, one way to think about this, do you know what this looks like if we were to graph it? I can't remember your name in the back. Keegan. I was going to say that, believe it or not. I really was. I didn't think it was right, though. Keegan, if you were to graph this, what would it look like?
It would be a parabola,
It would be a parabola.
and it would be shifted right.
Right, 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. The parabola, it opens up just like that. Is that symmetric about the x-axis? No. Okay. So that's why it's neither. It's not symmetric about the x-axis. And it's not symmetric about the origin either. Does that make sense?
So is it supposed to be symmetric about the y-axis or the x-axis?
So I said it wrong, didn't I? It's supposed to be, I wrote it right. It's symmetric about the y-axis. It's not symmetric about the y, it's not symmetric about the x, or the x. We don't care if it's symmetric about the x though. Okay? All right, so we got time for one more. We'll do this last one. X squared plus 4. I told you it was even. I really should do some other ones though, but we're kind of out of time. My other class always, they don't ask as many questions as you guys. I swear I always get through it a little faster, but x squared plus 4, we could actually prove this was an even function just by graphing it. So Caitlin, can you do that?
Yeah, you would go up 4 and then
Up
it's
4.
a
1, 2, 3, 4.
opening up.
It opens up. Is it symmetric about the y?
Yes.
Yes, so it is even, just like I said. Now, let's prove it Tell me your name and degree. Caleb, can you prove that that's an even function by telling me this? We've already got the function, right? So half of this is already done. I just need to find this. So f of minus x of this function is negative x squared plus 4, and that equals x squared plus 4. Does that equal that? Yes, so therefore I was correct that it's an even function. Now, this is a hard one. Very likely that you'll see an odd or even function on the final. You have to prove it algebraically. You could also be able to prove it graphically. So either way, this is one they like to ask on the final. Quiz tomorrow is on 2.6. See y'all tomorrow.
That's not